Hi, I'm Matthew Phillips, an intern with the Montgomery County Public Health Department, and today I'm going to be talking about summer food safety. So if you're going to be eating outdoors, it's important to pack and transport your food safely. You should organize your cooler contents and consider keeping beverages in a separate cooler. This will help whenever you go grab a beverage, your coolers will be kept colder, keeping your food safer. Along the same lines, you should keep your coolers closed. This will limit the amount of times that you open and close a cooler, keeping your food colder for longer. And it's important to not cross-contaminate. You should wrap any meat, seafood, or poultry in a separate container and keep it away from any sort of perishable food item. And it's important to clean your produce. Any fresh fruit or vegetables you should rinse with water before putting in your cooler. So grilling is very popular in the summer months, but here are some safe grilling tips that I drew up for you. You should marinate your foods in the refrigerator, never on the counter or outside, as this can lead to an environment where bacteria can thrive. You should, if you're doing any sort of partial cooking, you should throw it on the grill immediately after. And when it's time to cook, it's important to have a food thermometer ready to make sure that any of your food is cooked thoroughly. And you should not reuse any platters or utensils. So if you bring out like a raw hamburger and you cook it, you should not return your cooked hamburgers to that same platter, as that could contaminate your cooked foods with any sort of bacteria. And shown here is just some safe cooking tips for various meat items, poultry, beef, that sort of thing. Smoking food is another very popular way to cook in the summer, and it's important to smoke safely. You're going to want to thaw any food completely before you do your smoking. Not thawing your food completely can cause anything to linger in the danger zone, which is a temperature range where bacteria can thrive. And again, you should marinate in the refrigerator and not reuse any sort of marinade that was cooked on or put on raw food on any sort of cooked food. Again, any sort of partial cooking, you should cook immediately after that. And when you're smoking, you have to use 2 thermometers, one for the air temperature, one for the food temperature, and you have to make sure both of those are at adequate levels as to avoid the temperature danger zone. And it's important to use a dedicated smoker. Any sort of makeshift container could result in chemical contamination, as it's not specifically designed to be used with food. So I keep saying danger zone, but what is the danger zone? It's a temperature range between roughly 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is where bacteria can live, thrive, and grow rapidly. A good mantra for this is to keep cold food cold and hot food hot. And avoiding this, you should not keep any sort of food out longer than 2 hours, or 1 hour if the ambient temperature is above 90 degrees. This can cause both hot and cold foods to linger in the danger zone and have a lot of bacterial problems, really. Cold food should be kept below 40 degrees until serving time. You can achieve this by just putting it on an ice bath, then change that out periodically. Hot food should be kept at or above 140. This can be done by wrapping it well and insulating it, and that should keep it hot until it's ready for serving. So there are 4 simple steps to safe food handling. Clean, separate, cook, and chill. Clean is fairly straightforward. You should wash any surfaces you're using and your hands often. You're going to want to wash your hands with warm soapy water for 20 seconds, both before and after handling food. And you should wash your cutting boards, dishes, utensils, and any sort of countertops that you're using with hot soapy water after you prepare your food items. And you should really consider using paper towels to clean your kitchen countertops, as they are rather sanitary. You should rinse any fresh fruit or vegetables under running tap water, even those with skins and rinds that are not eaten. Separate is basically just preventing cross-contamination. You should separate any raw meat, poultry, seafood, and eggs from other sort of food items in your grocery cart, grocery bags, even in your refrigerator. You should use one cutting board for your fresh produce and another separate one for any sort of meat, poultry, seafood, that sort of thing. You should never place any cooked food on a plate that previously held raw meat, poultry, seafood. All these things can carry with them bacterial contamination. And you should never reuse marinades on raw foods unless you bring it to a boil first. So cook. It's important to cook food to the right temperature. Color and texture are unreliable indicators of safety, and you're going to want to use a food thermometer to ensure the safety of any meat, poultry, or seafood. And if you're doing any cooking in the microwave oven, it's important to cover, stir, and rotate that to ensure even cooking. And any sort of soups, sauces, and gravies you should bring to a boil before serving. 4. Chill. This is all about preserving your food and making sure that it doesn't get any bacterial growth. You should use an appliance thermometer to make sure your fridge is either 40 degrees or below and 0 degrees or below for your freezer. You should refrigerate or freeze any sort of meat, poultry, any perishables 2 hours after packaging or purchasing. And you should never thaw foods at room temperature, such as on the countertop. This can cause them to linger in the temperature danger zone for longer than should be they allowed to linger. And you should divide large amounts of leftovers into shallow containers. Large amounts of leftovers can cool less quickly, again, leading them to linger in the temperature danger zone. So shown here is just a little infographic that you can refer back to if anything needs clarifications or if you have questions. Thank you.